welcome to The Social Angle, a podcast that helps promo pros gain an edge in the social media realm. I'm digital content director Vinny Driscoll, and on this episode, I am joined by Madeline Sklar, digital marketer and Twitter expert, to discuss Threads, the newest and hottest social network on the block. Is the hype real, and should you be on it? I'm going to find out right now. Madeline, welcome to the show.
Hey, Vinny, thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Excited to talk about the latest, greatest shiny object.
Absolutely. How is the weather today in Houston? You're in
Ooh,
Houston,
hot and
right?
humid. Yeah,
Yeah.
Houston's very hot and humid, very sunny. Yeah, I'm already ready for some cooler weather.
Yes. I don't know how you guys do it down there. I'm in the Philadelphia area. It's been awful for the last week or 10 days. The humidity's been insane, but I can't imagine what it's like in Houston. Um, but again, I am talking to Madeline Sklar. We are talking about Threads today. And before we get into the questions, because I have a whole bunch for you, can you give us a little bit of a background on yourself? How you got into social media marketing?
Yeah, I have a really long history with all of this. I actually started my road on digital marketing in 1996. So 27 years I started off doing web design, and over the years we started seeing, as the internet was evolving, we saw social media come about, and I just was all in. I thought this is going to be at first I thought the internet and the whole .com boom was the future, but then social media I really discovered was a great way to bring people together, because I just have always had this knack for building communities online. And I've been helping people with social media since 2005. So I've been doing it a really long time.
Yeah, so you've been on Twitter is probably longer than I have. I know that you and I sort of started following each other years ago, and I follow your content. You do some really great stuff on Twitter. That seems to be your network of preference. You do a lot of tutorials. You host a lot of spaces. So you're very well versed in Twitter, but you're also digital marketer. You have your finger on the pulse of a lot of what's going on in social media. And this week, it's not even been a week, right, Madeline? It's been 6 days.
Six
Uh,
days.
6 days. Meta, which obviously owns Facebook, Instagram, released what's called Threads, a new social media platform that is supposed to be a competitor to Twitter in the way it's sort of laid out. Can you give us a basic overview of what Threads is, and what some of the features it offers?
Sure. So Threads is a standalone app. So it's yet another app we have to download, but it's part of the Meta family and is connected to your own Instagram account. And actually, when you're on Instagram, it's very easy to go get it set up from there just by typing in Threads in the search. And right now, Threads is very bare bones. It's very simple. It has that Twitter feel to it because it's really just about posting with text. You can do images, you can do videos, very similar to a tweet with up to 500 characters. So it's
Okay,
very basic, but it's a way to have a conversation, which I think was really lacking with Instagram.
I see. So it's sort of like Instagram's jump into the conversation, because Instagram has traditionally been the visual network. It's people showing off what they're doing, what they're eating, that kind of stuff. Now it's more the conversation. So what they're trying to do is integrate the conversations that Twitter may be having into what they're trying to do. Correct?
That yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. Is a very conversational place, which I've always felt like was the missing piece of Instagram. Instagram is great for visual content,
Sure.
and sure, you can have some conversations in there, but it never had that feel to it like we can have on Twitter. That's why I've been just so big with Twitter, because I can connect with so many like-minded people there, and I still do today in 2023.
Right.
But I feel like this new Threads app is going to be the answer to people that want to have conversation and be where the conversation is, but on a platform other than Twitter.
Okay. So I'm not on it, admittedly. I wanted to have this conversation first before I got on it, because I feel like I represent a lot of the audience uh, that watches my content. So you mentioned images. You can post images almost similarly to how you can do it in Twitter. How does it work? How do
Yes.
you initiate a post? A thread.
So when you're in Threads, I'm gonna put and right now it's just mobile only. You can view a profile on the web, but you can't search, you can't do much on the
Okay.
web. I mean, I can't even, like, go on mine and then go search for someone else like you could on Instagram. So it's really a mobile base, but on it has a feel like the Twitter mobile app. So at the bottom, there is a little icon you tap on to start, and it says "New thread." And
Okay.
it's interesting how they're going down this route because basically you could build a thread like you do on Twitter with multiple posts, but I see people mostly doing a singular post. And because we can have up to 500 characters, that's more than our traditional 280 over on
Right.
Twitter, unless you're a blue subscriber and you can do
Sure.
long tweets. But I find this interesting that you can create, longer content on here by turning these into a threaded conversation. And there's a little icon, like a little attach icon, like the paperclip. And when you tap on that, you can add photos, you can add a video, and it will do, if it's multiple photos, it's like the carousel, like you get on
I see. Okay.
Instagram where you swipe across. So it's very simple, very basic. You can put a link, you can put a URL in there, and it looks very similar to how you would do a tweet with a link in it. But that's about it. There's no
Okay.
DMs. There's the ability to search, but there's no hashtags.
Okay.
So the search is a little, bare at the moment.
Sure.
But I actually appreciate that this is how they're starting this new app by
Sure.
keeping it basic, keeping it simple, having it be all about that conversation. I think once they start adding a lot of features and then the advertisers come in and the marketers, the
Right.
super salesy marketers and the spammers, the bots, it's going to be a very different landscape.
Okay.
That's why these are so exciting when they're brand new, Vinny, because you don't have all of that craziness that makes us not want to be on social
Right.
media.
Right. Kind of like what Facebook is right now, and I think
Yeah.
most people can agree with that. When you scroll through your feed, and every other post is a sponsored post or a suggested post or something that, like, hey, I'm not really here for this, but because of how popular it is and how much marketing and advertising they do, that's kind of what the reality is with Facebook right now. Even Instagram, Instagram is, every two or three posts, it's like, you've got something else that's sponsored. So now it seems like that Meta set this up to be a direct competitor of Twitter. Do you think this is going to be a threat to Twitter in terms of people abandoning the network and going over to Threads? What is your feeling about that?
Such a great question. So, since day one of the Threads app, I've been asking this of my community in Twitter because I'm just curious. It's only been 6 days, but so far, most people I've talked to have said they're not going to abandon Twitter, but they're definitely curious and interested of Threads and what can they do with it. I think some people are open to the idea of completely leaving Twitter in favor of this if they find that this is a better platform for them to be on. But there's also been droves of people and businesses that have left Twitter for months now. And this is becoming a better alternative for them. I'm already seeing brands and people I know that have left Twitter just crushing it over on Threads. Like it's almost like they've been waiting for this new
Sure.
tool to come to aid them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that Twitter for the longest time was a place that a lot of people didn't want to be, but they had a community already. They didn't like the politics of, maybe they didn't like Elon Musk, maybe they didn't like, the president of the United States. Like, they use different reasons to say, I'm gonna get off of this platform because I don't like, X, Y, or Z. And I think I'm starting to see a lot of that conversation saying, you know what, I don't like this network anyway. I'm going to go check out Threads. Now, I wanted to read you the results of a poll that I posted in a couple days ago. I posted in Twitter. I said, Threads, is the new competitor app to Twitter, and had 10 million signups within 7 hours of its launch. Will you be leaving Twitter for Threads? Now, 38% of the people said no. I mean, this was a couple days ago. 19% said yes. 26% said I'm going to test it out first. And 15% said I'll use both. Now, do you find that seems to more or less align with what you're finding when you talk to people?
I think so. I think for right now, people are just in this wait and see mode. They're trying it out. They're dipping their toe in to see what can I do with this new tool? Is it beneficial for me? And as I mentioned earlier, you want to be where the conversation is.
Sure.
So if the people you want to connect with are on there and they're having those conversations, then you should get in there as well. And
Right.
I definitely recommend for anyone that has not signed up for the app yet, I would at least sign up so it's, connected to your name, you have it, because you may decide at some point like, yes, this is definitely a tool I want to be using. You don't have to use it right now when we're on day 6, but you may regret not at least getting your name that
Sure.
you want associated with your account. And one thing that's been coming up repeatedly in this past week is that it is tied to your Instagram. Even though it's a separate standalone app, it is tied to your Instagram. And if you turn it on, you activate it, but you decide you don't want to use it, they're saying don't delete this account,
Right.
because if you do, because it's connected to your Instagram, it will delete your Instagram. But it's very simple and easy to just deactivate it.
Sure.
But I've been telling people, don't delete, don't just
Yeah.
try it. If it's not for you, keep it up. What I'm noticing right now, and I think this is, a big issue for a lot of people and brands that are not understanding the power of this new app right now. Yes, we're only 6 days in, but what's really smart with how Instagram has done this is that because it's tied to your Instagram account, when you first sign up, one of the first things it'll say to you is, do you want to follow all the people you're already following on Instagram? And people are hitting yes. I didn't, because I wanted to kind of curate. I've been on Instagram for so long. There's definitely old accounts I've been following that,
Right.
and there's so many of them. I don't have time to go delete it and kind of curate my feed through that. So I just left it as is. But I thought I'm going to kind of start fresh and new so I can just kind of pick and choose. But most people are doing the easy way. They're just tapping that one button,
Right.
and what it's doing is following all the
Right.
accounts they've already followed on Instagram. So when I go to my profile after only 6 days on this platform, right now I have 711 followers.
No kidding.
And that's
Wow.
just because people are just doing that simple, easy, let
Right.
me tap
Right.
the
Right.
button and automatically. I know some people are doing it manually, but I would say for the most part, this is because it's automated, and Instagram, the app, is making it easy as you
Sure.
start threads. And I noticed right away, NBA, 3 million followers.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
A lot of the brands have an insane number of followers already. So it's because of the simplicity of the setup where you can just automatically, with a tap of a button, follow all the accounts you already follow. So
Right.
I think that was really smart of them to do.
And if you had done that without going in completely, so you may even have a lot more followers had you done that.
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly, because what happens is you do that and they're like, oh, let me go follow her.
Right.
But
Right.
here's the thing I'm noticing. When I see that I'm getting all these new followers, I'm going through the list just because, it's like some people I haven't talked to in years that left Twitter a long time ago that now I'm reconnecting.
Huh.
I use Instagram, but I don't really use it in a community way and a lot of conversation. So
Mhm.
I've heard other people say the same thing. It's like reconnecting with old friends through this. But what I'm seeing though is that when I'm going through all my new followers, so many of them do not have a profile picture, which means they turn it on, but they haven't done anything else. You
Right.
go to their
Right. Right.
profile, there's nothing. So what I always recommend, and I've always recommended this, when there's the new shiny object tool that everybody's talking about, go get it, get the name you want, put a profile picture, put a bio, do one post, just one post, something about who you are and what you do. You don't have to use it anymore after. You might go, you know what, this tool isn't for me, but I guarantee you, your customers are checking to see if you're on there.
Right. Right.
And then they're wondering, oh, they have a profile, there's no picture, there's no bio, there's no post. So they're not going to want to be following you.
Right. Right. Again, I'm kicking it live today with Madeline Sklar. We are talking about the new platform Threads. We are live on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you have any comments, questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them either during the show or afterward. Now, Madeline, you mentioned for businesses, brands, they're in Threads now. Because I'm not in there, I don't know what that experience might be like. Now, when you set up your threads and you have a business profile on Instagram, but you also have a personal profile, can you set up a business profile in threads, or do you have to set up a personal profile? Like, how does it work? How does the experience work in terms of setup?
All I did was download the app, and then what it wants to do is just connect you to your existing Instagram.
Okay.
So I've also heard people say that if you have multiple Instagrams, you have to actually log out and then go do each one
Okay.
separately. But it's all tied into your Instagram. So I believe that means if you want to start something from scratch, I'm not 100% sure, but it's just so new.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything I saw, the whole process revolved around your Instagram. So when you first go and set this up, it will say, "Do you want us to use your Instagram photo? Do you want us to use your Instagram bio?" You can just import everything you already have.
Okay. So, in Instagram, they have the business profiles. You can set up your profile as a business profile. I'm going to use ASI as an example. If I go into Instagram or Threads, can I set up a business profile for my business, or you can only do it as, say, Vincent Driscoll?
Well, it's taking however you have your Instagram set
Okay.
up from what I've seen. And my Instagram is a business account, but right now with Threads, and this could possibly change, I don't see anything that differentiates the two between a personal and a business. And right now there's no analytics. I know with Instagram business, that's like one of the great perks of it is that you get all these extra analytics. It's just so new and none of that is on there yet.
Right.
It's just very plain. I don't even see a distinction between a personal profile and a business. It's
Okay.
just you'll see the brands and go,
Right.
"Okay, I know that's a business versus a person."
Okay, so I mean, this is the gist of the conversation because I know that a lot of my industry is small businesses, and what they're seeing right now is, okay, there's a new social media platform. We already have to deal with so many social media platforms already. You've got, TikTok is the relatively new one on the block. Hard to figure out in terms of what are you going to post there? Where, who's there? Should my business be there? Obviously, you got Facebook, Twitter, and you got LinkedIn. They're looking at Threads as like, okay, this is another potential investment in time and effort. Like, is it really worth me being on there? So, from your short experience on there, do you think that businesses should be jumping into Threads right now, or should they maybe slow down and wait? I know that you mentioned earlier, like, if you're the early bird on this app, as most apps, when something first comes out, you're going to get sort of like really good treatment. You're going to get that high reach, high engagement. Do you recommend businesses jump into this right now?
I think at minimum, businesses should at least be checking it out, scope it out, and see what's going on. What are the conversations taking place in your industry with people in your community? Because you might find the conversation is really happening over there more so than it is on Twitter or Instagram or some of these other platforms that you normally spend time on. I think it's best to allocate a little bit of time just so you can check it out. And you may notice that, okay, I'm liking this. And yes, the algorithm is boosting things right now. It's making it easy to get discovered, it's making it easy for your content to get seen. So, if anything, just to be a part of this new thing. I know people like to say, "Oh, I'm not rushing. I'm going to wait it out. I want to see," or "I don't want another platform who wants another app to download." But again, it goes back to what I keep saying. You want to be where the conversation is. If the conversation in your industry is happening over there, yes, it's everything is pretty much happening right now on there because it's brand new. I'm seeing conversations pretty much with about everything happening. And so it's a really great way to just be a part of it, which gives you visibility, which could get you new customers.
Sure, sure. Now, you mentioned earlier about the search. There's a search there on Threads.
Yes, there is a search when you're on the app. It's just super basic right now. Um, it
So so if
yeah.
I'm a business and I get on there and there's, you say like, oh yeah, your customers could potentially be on there, your competitors. How do how do you connect with the right people? I know it's so new right now. Like, where is where is the connection string there? How do you find your customers? How do you find your competitors? If the search is kind of wonky and new, like what is the best approach?
Right. There's no advanced search here like we can do on Twitter where we can really hone in and find
Hmm.
something real specific. The most you can do is a keyword search. So, I mean, I
Okay.
just do something as simple as type in pizza and it's just going to show me things that have pizza on it and there's no way to adjust this to be like, well, what about ones that are close to me or something more specific. So, for now, you just experiment with different
Right.
keywords to see what results you get or type in somebody's name or a brand, but it is so basic, bare bones right now. Discoverability is not great. When you do click on search, it's going to show you a bunch of profiles. They're mostly celebrities and
Hmm.
high profile, you know,
Sure.
and it looks like it's profile since I didn't tap that button initially to just go ahead and follow all the people I follow on Instagram. I do recognize a lot of these names, so it's probably first serving me up. Well, here are people you follow on Instagram.
Right.
But if you did press that button, then I'm sure it's just using the algorithm of like, oh, if you follow these people, you'll probably like this other group of people. So it's just so new. It's just hard to know just yet where this is going to
Yes.
go. But because it is so new, I think it's just worth people taking the time and looking to see what is happening, what are people talking about, and if you don't feel like it's a fit, that's fine. That's totally fine. But right now, 6 days in and 100 million users, that says something.
For sure.
And
And I
it's
no, I'm sorry. Like to your point though, I feel like even if it's basic right now, it's not going to be basic for long because
right.
it has the power of Meta behind it. Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, so you know that if it takes off, which it is, it's obviously taken off 100 million downloads in less than a week. They're going to put a lot of time, money, and effort, a lot of development into it. And I think within probably 3 to 6 months, you're going to see much improvement when it comes to discoverability, which you were saying earlier doesn't have much right now.
I imagine that's gonna be top priority for them. There's already a post that's gone out today from, the CEO of Instagram that they are working to just keep improving this, and they're already saying that they're going to, this week, improve the following feed and give us an edit post button. People
Oh
have been
wow.
complaining that there's no edit button and a post search. So I imagine that they're going to just keep adding features that people want that will be relevant
Hmm.
to this type of app of things that we would want to be able to do with it. I My understanding is that this was launched a little early, and it would not be surprising to think it's because of all the issues that's been happening at Twitter. I love Twitter. I'm a huge advocate for Twitter. I still am. Not a fan of Elon, and I'm not ever afraid to say that publicly. But I still get a lot out of Twitter. I get so much networking, connect with so many people, and so it's a great platform for me and my business and the people I want to connect with. But I'm also interested in other platforms that can do the same
Sure.
thing. So we know that Twitter's just been having a lot of problems. And just recently, they were having this whole big issue with, saying that about the data scraping. And so they
Hmm.
reduced the rate limits. And a lot of people a few weeks ago could not use Twitter. It stopped
Uh,
them because it said they'd already viewed so many, it
right.
stopped them.
Right. 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 I saw that. Yeah. I'm the same way. With you, I'm a big fan of Twitter. I've been using it for a long time. It's the network that I'm most partial to. But again, if you're a business, you shouldn't say, okay, I'm on this network and this is the network that I love. I feel like if there's something new out there, you should explore those potential opportunities. We talked off camera a little earlier, and I told you that in 2018, I had done a podcast and we talked about the potential of TikTok for your business. And I said, TikTok will never be a viable platform for our industry or, not too many industries. I thought it was way too young. It wasn't. There really wasn't much in the way of uh, like understanding that platform other than it's just fun videos that you're creating. But now, 4 years after the fact, I had to do another podcast saying, boy, was I wrong. Like this is definitely a platform that you should be on because everybody's on. Like if you're a brand, you should be on TikTok because uh, people are on TikTok. That's where their eyeballs are. My mother's eyeballs are on there. My daughter's eye, like it runs the gamut generationally. People are on TikTok now. If will Threads take off the way that TikTok did? I mean, TikTok was a lot slower to adopt. Threads seems to be, it has the power of Meta behind it, and it seems to have um, a pretty clear mission. It wants to compete with Twitter in terms of having conversations, people networking, people potentially doing business together. And I think that this is one of those networks that even though it's less than a week old, it's one to certainly have on your radar as a business.
I think so. Now, all the hype could totally die down and things get a little bit calmer. When I think of Blue Sky, when that first came out, there was just so much attention. I was lucky enough to get an invite and go in there, but for me, it was too plain. It was pretty boring, and I wasn't finding those conversations that I was looking for. So very quickly, I'm like, okay, this is not for me, but I have my presence on there. If somebody goes there, at least it shows, and what my web address so they can go find me there.
Right.
Like I'm not
Right.
active on there and that's okay, but I at least have that presence set up. And so that's why I think it's important to at least set it up on there because we know that's where everybody's attention is at this moment. And you never know what opportunities can come from that.
Sure thing. Again, I'm talking to Madeline Sklar. We are talking about Threads. Drop any comments or questions that you might have, and we will get to those. Now, I think you sort of touched upon this earlier. The analytics. There's no analytics, correct?
No analytics
Okay.
yet. Hopefully, something will come soon because that's, when it comes to using social media platforms for business, we like to get analytics so we can see what's
Sure.
working and what's not.
What about the opportunity to manage, any type of content that you create on Threads through something like TweetDeck that you can kind of manage your Twitter's strategy through TweetDeck. Do they have anything like that right now or no?
No, not right now. It is just very plain, very bare bones. What I think makes this so refreshing, and that seems to be the word I see so many of my colleagues using with this, new platform is that this is refreshing right now is because it's only real time. You can't schedule. When you're seeing those conversations is what people are putting in the moment rather than how so many of us work our business profiles where we schedule things, we spread it out so we cover more time zones, connect with more people. So right now it's just not much strategy behind it when it comes to how can I make this work for my business, how can I get a lot of content out there but not post it all at once. Hopefully, something will come for that, but right now, it's actually refreshing that I have to manually go to this app, open it
Hmm.
up to see in real time what conversations are going on, which ones I wanna jump into, what do I wanna put out there myself, and I think it's actually fun to just get on a new one and experiment. I'm trying my approach of, "What can I do differently here?" I'm not gonna just copy and paste my tweets and put it into Threads,
Hmm.
and I don't recommend that. I mean, some people are doing it, that's fine. But I feel like if I do that, then why would anybody care what I post there? They already pay attention to me on Twitter.
Sure.
So what can I do different? So I've just been experimenting, making little videos when I'm walking my dog. You can basically repost somebody else's thread and very similar like Twitter where you can kind of do just like a retweet, so it's as is, or with a quote where you say something with it. So I've been playing around with that a bit, and it's just something to kind of get a feel for like what do you like about this that works for you and will drive people into your conversations.
Right, and I think that's the beauty of new networks. And when I say beauty, it's kind of like, I'm a little bit ambivalent when I use beauty because it's great for reach and engagement because it's so new that you're going to get that preferential treatment. You're not going to get the noise of advertisers and brands in there paying money for you to see their content the way you're starting to see that with TikTok right now, the way you've been seeing it for years on Facebook and Instagram. And it's refreshing. Like you said, it's kind of like an unpolluted social media platform where it's just the users who are in there having those conversations, and it's refreshing. Now, of course, the brands will get in there, the businesses will get in there. There's going to be, a shift in algorithms. You're going to notice obviously less reach and engagement because, now you're going to have the brands in there. Now, you said there's no advertising opportunities, right? There is no sponsored content. There's nothing that you see in the feed yet, correct?
Not right now, which is very nice, and again, why I keep calling it
Yeah,
refreshing, because
right.
we're not being bombarded. I'm sure that will change
It
because
will.
we know how Meta is with ads.
Sure, sure. And we talked off camera earlier about how, you get that, y- you know, you get that reach and engagement and you're excited about it and you think, oh my God, this is the network for me. And all of a sudden they pull the rug out from underneath you and they pull that algorithm or they switch the algorithm, they pull the rug. And now there's an opportunity. Hey, you want all that great engagement and reach that you got, you know, $15 will get you to where you used to be. And it's kind of, uh, the reality of social media platforms. They're businesses. They want to make money, and I get it. But right now, Thread seems to be, uh, the untapped wild west, and it's a place that if you want to reach an engagement, it seems to be the place to be. And it's certainly, I think, both of us agree, is a place for you that you should be going in and checking out just to see, what it's all about.
Absolutely, at minimum, just go in there, check it out, see what it's all about. You don't need to follow anybody, just get the lay of the land, and you might find, "I like it, and I'd
Yeah.
rather be here than Twitter," So,
Right.
one thing I found that was so interesting was some stats that have already been posted today about how much engagement brands are getting on this new Threads app versus Twitter. They did a check of like 30 top brands and analyzed, and it said of these 30 top brands, 87% had more engagement on their posts on Threads versus Twitter.
Mm,
On average, they saw 8 times more likes on Threads versus Twitter, and that the Threads show a higher average engagement rate versus Twitter. So, time will tell where this
yeah.
app is gonna go. Again, we're only 6 days in, which is nothing,
Hmm.
but to see that some top brands are already getting really great engagement, I think gives the rest of us small businesses hope that this could be a really viable platform that can really help the business we're in and help us connect with more customers.
Awesome. That's a great, parting thought for Threads. I think I agree with you. I wasn't always a fan of new networks. I always feel like, yeah, we got plenty of networks to work on, but this one, even though I'm not on it, from what I've heard from you, from what I've read online, it seems like this is going to be a network that you know should be taken seriously. And the fact that Elon Musk is already suing Mark
Yeah,
Zuckerberg, tells me all that I need to know. Like, this is a legitimate threat to Twitter, and it should be taken seriously. And it's one that if anything, Elon suing Mark Zuckerberg probably initiated a lot more downloads than he probably wanted. But I think the threat is real, and it's something that you should be taking seriously, especially from the business perspective.
I agree. It's not like this is some brand new app nobody's ever heard of. When you have Meta behind it, that's huge.
Definitely. Well, Madeline, I want to thank you for your time today. It was certainly enlightening. I'm glad that I have you as a resource to talk about social media. I love joining your weekly spaces on Twitter, and I think they're certainly educational. I jump in there as much as I can, whenever I can, and I love to listen, to your spaces and your podcast. So, Madeline, let everyone know, how they can find you and your contact information.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me online at Madeline Sklar. Since I have an unusual name, as long as you spell it right, you can always find me as MADALYNSKLAR. So I have that .com, I have that Twitter threads, all the different social media platforms you put in my name, and you can get in touch. And I would love to hear from you and see what your thoughts are on threads. Feel free to connect with me over there and let's talk about it.
Yeah, and check her out on Twitter. She's very active on Twitter and does a lot of great uh, audio chats during the week. You have at least two weekly runs, right?
Right now in my business, I'm doing 4 a week
Oh
at the
wow, okay.
moment, and then I have a separate side one for something separate from my business. So currently I'm doing 5 a week
Yeah,
at the moment because
and
I love audio. I think audio is such an important way to connect with people
mhm,
and to market yourself. So I've been podcasting for 10 years, and it's just always been a game changer for my marketing.
Absolutely. Check her out on social media. That's MADALYNSKLAR. Well, Madeline, again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Vinny. It was great talking to you.
For Madeline, I'm Vinny. We'll see you next time on The Social Angle.